Hello, you're with Libby from libbystamps.com, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in Australia, and today I'm going to bring you another Brusho technique using Beautiful Day as our base. Now I'm going to stamp in Versamark, so I'll stamp in Versamark and then I'll heat emboss that with perhaps some copper, and we'll see how we go. So I'm going to use the butterfly. I'll lay it down and put my block on top. That way you don't get any bubbles between the block and the rubber. I like to turn it over when they're large stamps and put ink direct to the stamp. That way I can also ensure that I have all the areas inked up. Alright, so I'm going to turn this so it's landscape and stamp down with my copper embossed powder. I'm just going to put embossing powder on that. And yes, we are going to use Brusho, but a bit of a different technique today to what I've been doing lately. Not making quite so much mess with our Brusho today. I'm just going to heat set that with my heat tool. Alright, so I've heat set it with copper embossed powder, and now I'm going to use this acrylic block as my palette. So you don't need to go out and buy a palette unless you really want to. If you mix colour up in a palette and you don't use it all, you can just reactivate it at another time. But today I'm just going to be doing some painting. So I'll put a bit of blue on my block, and for this I get fairly close to the block so I'm not putting Brusho crystals all over the place. So that should be about enough. I hope you can see that. I'll move it just over a little bit more so you can see what I'm doing. And perhaps a bit of red, that up in the other corner. So I'm just tapping gently, and I've got my Brusho fairly close to the block so the powder's not spraying everywhere, because it can do that. Alright, we might add a little bit of green, moss green. That'll be enough. Alright, now in with our aqua painter. Just get some paper towel, which is handy to clean your brush off on in between colours, and I'm simply just going to add some water to activate these crystals. Now, depending on how much water you add, that also tells you how deep or how vibrant the colour is, and I'm doing this on watercolour paper. Now you'll notice too on some of the watercolour paper you sometimes get this sort of speckledy effect where it doesn't seem to take all the way round. That's the watercolour paper, not your stamps, so don't get too worried about that. I just want to add a little bit more water to that and make it a bit lighter. There we go. Alright, and then you come in with your brush. So you're going to pick up some water and you're going to just simply paint. And the embossing powder, the embossed area will help keep that colour inside those lines. Alright, so I'm going to pick up a bit of a darker colour and go up here, and I'm simply just painting. Now this is from a person who failed art at school. Well, who didn't do art at school. I actually went and did woodwork and metalwork, which was most unusual for girls in my day, but I quite like doing these sorts of techniques with the Brusho. Alright, so we'll call it quits with the blue, and we'll come in and we'll do a bit of red. So I'm just activating that, and I don't want to do colours that are too close to each other in case they run, because I don't want a muddy mess on my hands. So I'm just going to add a bit of colour. I'll try and move this in. See if I move that down and that over there, and maybe you can see a little bit better what I'm doing. So just adding a bit of, it's really just painting, you know. So if you want to give this a try, this is quite easy. So it's on watercolour paper, and I've just simply stamped with Versamark and then embossed with copper, and now I'm painting with various Brushos. So you wouldn't ever have thought, and see I haven't added much water to this one, so it's a much drier consistency. And when it's dry, you can go back in and add more colour if you want to. I might add a little bit more down here. Try and even the red up a bit. You should have odd numbers, shouldn't you, of things. I don't know whether that's the same with painting or not. Maybe somebody who knows could leave a comment in the box. Now, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. Leave a comment. I always reply to comments. And all these products are available in my online store. Alright, so that'll do for the red. What other colour did we add? Bit of yellow? Or was it green? Green. Mossy green. Didn't add many crystals to that. So let's see how we go here. That top bit of blue is about dry. So you don't want to add it to be too wet. So this one here is a bit too wet, but it'll dry nice and pale. You don't want to add colour that's too wet because it will muddy the other colours. And then when you're finished, you can just choose whatever colour cardstock you think is appropriate. So I usually take my finished project to my cardstock and have a look and see what cardstock goes well. You'd be surprised at how many of these projects Always Artichoke goes with. And that's not a colour I use, so put another green down here. It's a very colourful butterfly. I think I've nearly used up all the green. Alright, so we've got one more panel left. I might add some more blue to that, but I'm going to wipe that off. If I had it in a palette container, I'd be able to save that colour. So, and you can get those palette containers fairly cheaply, I think, or if your kids have got one, snaffle that and use that, and it hasn't cost you anything. Alright, just adding a little bit of blue there and a little bit of water here, and I think we'll end up with a few different shades of blue. So this one's much darker because I haven't added as much water to it. You can add a little bit more. Just don't want it to be too much. Yeah, I've gone and added a bit too much, but you can go in and fill that around. And when it's dry, you can go back in and add more colour. I'll just grab my paper towel again, because I just want to dot up this colour here so it's not quite so vibrant. And then I can go back in and move that colour around, because every time you add water to the Brusho, it reactivates the colour better, and you can keep playing with that as long as you want. Alright, come back in and do this side so that we're finished, and I'll put the finished card up on my blog along with all the measurements of the cardstock and what have you that I use. So yeah, don't forget to go and shop with me. I'd really appreciate you shopping with me if you live in Australia. Sign up for my newsletter. You get free tutorial every newsletter, and yeah, give me a thumbs up for this YouTube video. Alright, so that's it for today. So that's just putting Brusho Colour Crystals onto something for a palette, and I've used an acrylic block here. Add a little bit of water and paint into your embossed image. Okay, thanks for stopping by. Bye for now.
It'll take creation, imagination. Try to draw outside the line. Let us see inside your mind. You'll find inspiration. All I'm saying.